In this video, we will discuss integers and absolute value. An integer is a number that can be written without a fractional or decimal part. So, for example, the number 3 or -2, those are integers. A number like -5.2 would not be an integer because it has that decimal part to it. An opposite are two numbers that are the same distance from 0 but on opposite sides of 0. And 0 is its own opposite. So let's get these sample problems here. So if I have the number 2 and I want to find the opposite of 2, I think, well, what's the same distance from 0 as 2 but on opposite sides of 0, and that's going to be -2. If I have -99, I want to find the opposite of -99. I think to myself, what's the same distance from 0 but in the opposite direction? That's going to be a +99. 38, the opposite of 38 is -38. The opposite of -4 is +4, and 0 is its own opposite. Absolute value. Absolute value is a number's distance from 0. So when I look at the number line here, and if I have 0 right here, and let's say I have -3 here, right? Well, I would say the absolute value of -3 is 3. And we use these longer lines on both sides of -3 to show absolute value. So you'd read this as the absolute value of -3 is equal to 3 because distance is positive. So let's look at these sample problems here. The absolute value of 6, how far is 6 from 0 on the number line? It's 6 units away. The absolute value of -13, how far is -13 from 0 on the number line? It is 13 units away. The absolute value of 0, well, 0 is 0 units from 0. This sample here is a little bit different. This is asking for what is the opposite of the absolute value of 5. The negative sign out here is asking for the opposite. So what's the opposite of the absolute value of 5? The way I would solve this is first I would say, well, the absolute value of 5 is 5, and then what's the opposite of 5? It's -5. And the last sample here is similar. Again, we have that opposite. What is the opposite of the absolute value of -7? So first I'm going to find the absolute value of -7. The absolute value of -7 is 7, and the opposite of 7 is -7. All right, let's look at how we perform operations with absolute value. So the way I would read our first sample here, what is the absolute value of -8 plus 9? And I'm going to solve this. I'm just going to solve out what -8 plus 9 is. -8 plus 9 is 1. And then I want to find the absolute value of 1, which is just 1. Over here, I want to find out what's 8 minus the absolute value of -30. So the first thing I want to do is I want to find the absolute value of -30 first. So the absolute value of -30 is 30. Then I'm just going to solve the rest of my problem here. 8 minus 30, a -22. All right, third example here. I'd read this as the absolute value of -3 times 9 minus 15. You can think about these absolute value symbols as you would parentheses in an order of operations problem. I want to solve what's in the absolute value symbols first. So -3 times 9 is -27. But I have to take the absolute value of -27. And the absolute value of -27 is +27. +27 minus 15 is 12. And finally, last example here, 13 plus the absolute value of -55 divided by -11. Again, I want to solve what's in the absolute value symbols first. -55 divided by -11 is a +5. I want to take the absolute value of that. The absolute value of +5 is just 5. And then 13 plus 5 is 18. All right, now that you have seen some samples, please hit pause and write down these problems here and solve these problems. There's actually 6 here. And then once you have solved them all, hit play and you can listen and I will go through the answers. Okay, now that you have completed these problems, let's go through and solve them. What is the opposite of negative 5? What's the same distance from 0 as negative 5, but on opposite sides, and that's a positive 5. Number 2, what's the absolute value of negative 7? How far is negative 7 from 0? It is 7 units away from 0. Number 3, read it as, what's the opposite of the absolute value of 19? Well, first off, the absolute value of 19 is 19, and then I want to find the opposite of this, and that's a negative. Number 4, the absolute value of negative 11 plus negative 4. So first I want to add what's in between these absolute value symbols here. Negative 11 plus negative 4 is negative 15, and then the absolute value of negative 15 is positive 15. Number 5, the absolute value of negative 43 minus 12. So first I'll take the absolute value of negative 43, which is positive 43. Then I'll subtract 12, and I'll get 31. And finally, number 6 here, I'm going to take negative 5 plus the absolute value of negative 3 minus 11. So I'm going to solve what's in the absolute value symbols first. Negative 3 minus 11 is negative 14. Then I'm going to carry everything else down. Then I want to find the absolute value of what's here. So the absolute value of negative 14 is positive 14. And negative 5 plus a positive 14, that is equal to 9. And that is how you solve problems with absolute value.